48 hours. That's all the time that separated a red carpet in Madrid from red clay in Madrid. The same city, the same 2-0-year-old. Two completely different worlds, and she walked through both of them like she owned every inch. Alexandra Eala stood inside the Palacio de Cibeles on the night of April 21st, wearing a dress her uncle sketched in Manila and shipped across the world in 2 days flat. In that room, that exact room, stood Novak Djokovic, Aryna Sabalenka, Simone Biles, Nadia Comaneci, the woman who literally invented the perfect 10 inches gymnastics. And Eala was photographed, quoted, celebrated. The Laureus committee doesn't send invitations to players who don't belong. She posted one quiet photo. Caption, endlessly thankful to be part of such a special night. 48,000 likes before 48 hours were up. Then she went to sleep, laced her shoes the next morning, and walked onto a clay court. And that is where the real story begins. Because the opponent waiting for her on April 24th is the same woman who once made an entire set of professional tennis disappear in 24 minutes with Eala on the other side of the net. Hold those two facts side by side. A red carpet, a 6-0 bagel. And tell me that story doesn't deserve every second of your attention. To understand what Eala is actually walking into, you need to understand who Elise Mertens is right now. Not 2 years ago, right now. Because the ranking gap number 44 versus number 21 doesn't come close to telling the full story. Mertens won the 2026 Australian Open doubles title in January. She is the reigning world number 1 in doubles, 6 Grand Slam doubles titles, a career-high singles ranking of number 12. She arrived in Madrid as the 19th seed, with a first-round bye already in her pocket, a 12-7 singles record in 2026, and a clay court career record of 69 wins and 41 losses. That's a 62.7% win rate built on surgical placement, relentless returning, and a baseline game specifically engineered to punish any hesitation in the service box. This is not a player drifting toward the end of something. This is a player operating at a very specific, very dangerous kind of peak. And the history between these two? It is not neutral. October 17th, 2023. The Jasmine Open in Monastir. Mertens beat Eala 7-5, 6-0. Eala won just 9 of 32 second serve points. The second set lasted approximately 24 minutes. Eala was ranked around 200 at the time, and that scoreline reflected every single one of those 200 spots. Now, it's only fair to note that Mertens isn't invincible either. In Stuttgart, just days before Madrid, she built a 6-1, 2-0 lead over 7th-seeded Karolina Muchova, then watched Muchova win 12 of the next 13 games to close out the match. Mertens has a pressure point. She can crack under sustained momentum. But she also just showed she can dismantle a top 1-0 player in an opening phase and make it look effortless. That is exactly the kind of opening Eala cannot afford to hand her. Because here is the question that defines this entire match heading into April 24th. The player who saved match points in the first set back in Monastir before the second set caved completely, has she evolved into someone who simply never surrenders a set like that again? The answer might already be sitting in the numbers from April 22nd. The score against Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova was 6-3. 6-3. Clean. Clinical. But the score isn't the number that matters. The number that matters is 76. 76% of first serve points won, 5 of 6 break points saved, 2 breaks of serve in each set. Eala addressed the Madrid crowd in Spanish afterward. GMA News ran the story. ABS-CBN posted the video. 6 major Philippine media outlets published dedicated coverage within 24 hours of that result. But go back to that 76%, because that single figure is the direct, documented answer to the question that Greg Rusetsky, Andrea Petkovic, and Martina Navratilova have each separately flagged as Eala's primary development challenge, the serve. In their only prior meeting, Eala won just 52% of first serve points against Mertens, who is among the most clinical returners currently active on the WTA Tour. The serve was the weakness then. On April 22nd, It looked like a weapon. The gap between those two versions of the same shot is where this story actually lives. That transformation didn't happen by accident. In the weeks before the 2026 season, Eala hit with Rafael Nadal at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca. She described it with zero ambiguity. I was really tired after the practice. Rafa's intensity never goes away, and that's one of the things that everyone looks up to him for, his work ethic and intensity. To be able to feel that firsthand was really great. And when she was asked specifically about Clay Nadal's surface, the surface she is now trying to conquer, her answer was just 4 words. Anything I can take from Rafa, I'll take with pride. She is playing on clay in Madrid right now. She carries that practice session onto every square inch of it. Now picture the room again. April 21st, the Palacio de Cibeles, the greatest athletes alive, all gathered in one space. Eala is 20 years old, wearing a dress her uncle conceived and shipped from Manila in 48 hours. She is standing in the same physical space as Djokovic, Sabalenka, Biles, and the woman who made gymnastics history. And she is not out of place. She is not starstruck into silence. When Comaneci gave her Lifetime Achievement speech, Eala said, "I was so touched." 20 hours later, 20 hours, she was on a clay court winning a professional tennis match. That bridge between a black tie ceremony and a professional tennis court is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is a portrait of exactly the kind of player Alexandra Eala has quietly, deliberately become. And the people who saw it first, they've been right about everything. The Tennis Channel's social team asked a question they rarely have to ask about anyone. Do you remember a women's star who gets this kind of support wherever she goes? Eala's race to tour position in 2026 sits around number 15 globally. Her WTA singles ranking sits at 44. That gap between where the algorithm places her and where her actual 2026 results place her is the real measure of what she is doing this season. Consider what Eala has actually accomplished against the level of competition Mertens represents. Since that 6-0 bagel in Monastir, she has beaten Madison Keys when Keys was ranked number 5. She beat Iga Swiatek twice in the same tournament at Miami 2025. Swiatek was ranked number 2. She beat Coco Gauff at number 4, Jasmine Paolini at number 8, 4 career wins over top 1-0 players. The player Mertens dismantled in 24 minutes in 2023 has since collected more top 1-0 wins than most players manage in an entire career. ESPN said it plainly in March 2026. Opponents have had a full year of film. They know the wide lefty serve on big points, the backhand down the line in transition, the way she absorbs pace before flipping defense into offense. They have the film. She keeps winning anyway. But there is one voice that carries particular weight in this specific conversation. Not an analyst, not a commentator, a player. A player who faced Eala in this exact city, at this exact tournament, on this exact surface, and needed 3 sets to walk off the court. Iga Swiatek, reigning world number 2 at the time of their Madrid 2025 match, defending Madrid champion, 4-time Roland Garros winner. After a match where Eala took the first set 6-4 before Swiatek recovered to win 4-6, 6-4, 6-2, here is what Swiatek said. "I understand that there's hype about these young players, but you gotta be focused on yourself. Parse that carefully." She did not call Eala lucky. She did not call the first set an anomaly. She used the word hype and then immediately qualified it by acknowledging she had to stay focused on herself. A player who needed 3 full sets against someone they considered purely a product of hype does not typically issue that qualifier. That was Swiatek, in the precise clinical language of a champion, admitting that Eala's threat was real enough to require active mental management. That admission came on Madrid clay. In the same tournament, on the same red surface where Eala now lines up to face Elise Mertens, who, unlike Swiatek, has never had to manage a 3-set match against this version of Alexandra Eala. Now let's talk about the mathematics of what this match actually means, because the numbers here are ruthless. At Madrid 2025, Eala reached the second round. She beat Tomova, then lost to Swiatek. That run earned approximately 35 ranking points. Those 35 points are dropping off her total right now in real time as this video plays. A second round exit in 2026 earns 30 points. That's a net loss of 5 before the French Open clay swing has even reached Rome. A round of 3-2 finish, which requires beating. Mertens earns 50 points, net gain of 15. Eala currently sits at number 44. She reached her career high of number 29 on March 16th, 2026. To be seated at Roland Garros, she needs to climb to approximately number 32. The path from 44 to 32 runs directly through Elise Mertens on April 24th. This is the architecture behind the red carpet and the clay. And it doesn't end in Madrid. Eala has already signed up for the Rome Open and the Parma Ladies Open. A structured, deliberate clay campaign that tells you exactly what her coaching team, Joan Bosch, Sandro Vai, is planning for this season. Madrid is not an isolated event. It is the opening chapter of a French Open seeding campaign. Beat Mertens, and that chapter opens with momentum. Lose to Mertens, and Eala arrives in Rome already behind the mathematical pace she needs. Every Filipino watching from Madrid, from Manila, from every corner of the world, where the diaspora tracked that red carpet moment and watched the video of her speaking Spanish to the crowd, they are watching a player fight not just for a win, but for a structural foothold on the surface that will define whether 2026 is the year she becomes a genuine clay court force. Her commercial value, her cultural footprint, her Roland Garros seeding, they all converge on one match. That is what the dress from Manila and the clay of Madrid actually have in common. In their own separate languages, they are both statements about belonging, but it would be dishonest not to say this plainly. Alexandra Eala's clay record in 2026 is 2-2, and one of those 2 losses raised real questions. On April 14th, 8 days before the Pavlyuchenkova win, Eala faced Leylah Fernandez in Stuttgart. She fell behind 0-5 inches the first set. She won just 42% of total points across the match. The final score was 1-6, 4-6, and it was not as close as that second set suggests. It was her first match on clay against a fellow left-hander, and the tactical challenge it posed exposed genuine unresolved elements in her clay game. 8 days is not a long time to rebuild from something like that. The Pavlyuchenkova win was encouraging. The serve percentages were encouraging. The breakpoint conversion was encouraging. But Pavlyuchenkova is not Mertens. Mertens' return game is specifically engineered to exploit exactly the kind of second serve vulnerability that produced 9 of 32 second serve points won in their last meeting. And Eala has not yet beaten a top 2-5 player on clay in 2026. Mertens, at number 21, would be the first. I've had some struggles on clay before, Eala said after the Pavlyuchenkova win, with the kind of directness her coaching team probably appreciated. But I've also had some really great matches. There are still a couple of tournaments left, so I'm really excited. That is not a player manufacturing confidence for a camera. That is a player who trained under Rafa Nadal's intensity on this very surface and is choosing deliberately, consciously, to walk toward the difficulty rather than around it. One drop of water can create waves, she has said. I'm just trying to do my best, fight until the end. Whether the valley is behind her or still ahead of her, that is what April 24th is for. Pull back now. Look at the complete picture. A 2-0-year-old who was getting bagelled in 24 minutes when she was ranked 200th, who won just 9 of 32 second serve points in Monastir in 2023. Arrived in Madrid in April 2026, having trained with Rafael Nadal until exhaustion, having beaten 4 top 1-0 players across 2 years, having won 76% of first serve points in a clean display of the exact growth Rueski, Petkovic, and Navratilova said she needed, and she did all of this while wearing her country's formal dress to the most prestigious sports awards ceremony on the continent in a room with Djokovic, Biles, and the woman who invented the perfect 10 and then walking out the next morning and winning a professional tennis match, Swiatek needed 3 sets on this clay to contain her just 1 year ago. The ranking mathematics demand she win this match to avoid losing ground before Roland Garros. And the opponent across the net is the woman who once made an entire set of tennis disappear in 24 minutes. That is what shock the world actually means. It is not about any single scoreline. It is about the convergence of everything. A 6-0 bagel on her record, a 1-6 collapse in Stuttgart just 8 days ago, a 1-5 spot ranking slide across 5 weeks, a clay record of 2-2, and an opponent who is the current world number 1 in doubles, a 6-time Grand Slam champion, and a player who dismantled a top 1-0 name just days ago and made it look easy. When Alexandra Eala walks onto that Caja Magica clay to face Elise Mertens, she carries something that was not there in Monastir in 2023. 4 wins over top 1-0 players, a serve rebuilt under Rafa Nadal's roof, a dress designed by her uncle and shipped from Manila in 2 days. And the certain irreversible knowledge that she belongs in every room she enters, whether it is filled with Djokovic and Simone Biles, or with the opponent who once made her look like she had no business being on a tennis court at all. That is the shock, not the score. The architecture of the person carrying it. Now here's what we don't know yet. Can she solve Mertens' return game before Mertens solves the lefty serve? Can she reach the round of 32 and begin that climb from number 44 toward the Roland Garros seeding threshold? Or does the clay campaign stall here before Rome, before Parma, before Paris? If she beats Mertens, the draw potentially opens to Katerina Alexandrova or former world number 1 Karolina Pliskova in the next round. Drop your prediction in the comments. Can Eala reach the round of 16 inches Madrid? The match is April 24th. The result will tell us whether everything built in this video is the prologue or the beginning of the main chapter. If you want to be here when that verdict comes in from the Caja Magica, when the arc moves forward through Rome, then Roland Garros, this channel is where the full story lives. Not just the headline. Follow along. Because what happens next is a saga that only gets richer with every single match she plays.